जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अशहदु अन ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह वहदहु ला शरीका लहू व अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदन अब्दुहु व रसूलुहू। अम्मा बादु फ़ाऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। Dear and respected Presidents AMS and OSA, dear respected Sadr Lajna Imala USA, my dear brothers and sisters, and my respected elders, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today I've been asked to give my humble effort on the presentation for the ABCs of graduate programs and higher education in front of this audience. So basically, the idea for the quest of the knowledge, it stems from the Quranic version of the prayer which Allah Ta'ala has taught us in the Holy Quran, and that is, Rabbi Zidni ilma, O my Lord, increase me in my knowledge. So what is the ABCs of the graduate education and programs? Coming to the basics, A, what is in the Holy Quran? Allah Ta'ala is the all-knowing, and for that, the Quran has given us the comprehension of God's revelation, which manifests as the leadership of God's prophets, rationality of scientific knowledge, which brings forth scientific experience through divine knowledge. So in that way, we can say the higher education is for the opportunities, legitimacy, and the societal development. Next slide, please. Looking into the process or into definition for the higher education, there are many definitions for that from the lexicons, from the encyclopedia. But in short, higher education, tertiary education, or the graduate education is any education that leads to beyond research study and it's academics and beyond bachelor's degree and coming to the master's, postdocs, and doctoral studies. Next slides, please. B is coming to the basics. Just a little thing, I've highlighted that the Harvard University in 1636, it became the first higher education institution in the United States. So by chance, what we have to do, the learning status or the learning success of the students, it depends on the motivation and sustainability of the students themselves. But for the educational institution, it is the number for the graduating students, their recruiting and retaining in the whole process. I'm just going to give you a little bit of visual data from the US Census Bureau. Please, next slide, please. So this is just a small gist, that is the data from the US Census Bureau from 2000 to 2018, and it shows that the number of master's degrees and the doctorate degrees have doubled since the whole time period from, for the master's is 10.4 million to 21 million, and for the doctorate it's 2 million to 4.5 million. So this is the number of degrees. We're not like recognizing that these were the degrees that have been awarded by the US institutes. They could be from other people who have migrated to United States. So next slide, please. What are the spiritual implications of the physical knowledge? As we say that Allah Ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, for the people who ponder on the signs of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and they ponder on the signs of the heavens and the earth. So doctoral students or the graduate students, they are by chance the social scholars who create organic union between the societies, and they collaborate towards knowledge economy and leading towards the contribution of the society. Next slide, please. So this is just a little bit diagrammatic information that what is knowledge economy. Knowledge economy is for the higher education, and for that is a development which is important for the creation, dissemination, and knowledge transfer, and the spillover of knowledge to the industry and generate further knowledge and knowledge outputs. And for this, they have given the 6 pillars from the framework which is adopted by the World Bank and for different developmental international corporations, which stands for the education, training, ICTs, research, innovation, human capital, economic incentives, and financial resources as well. So next slide, please. This is the data from the Organization for Economic Development and Contribution in Development Countries. This is the data from 2018. Basically, this is an interactive map. If we go on the website, it gives us the indicators and highlight the percentage for that. So I'm going to split that statistics in the next 2 slides, and which show that basically US stands 11th at the level of tertiary education from the ages 25 to 34 years, and it stands 4th in the education for ages 55 to 65 years. So there's an increasing trend in the European and the Asian Pacific countries, but a stable trend, but we have to ponder that domestically we are not at the top of the world. Next slide, please. We'll talk a little bit about how to get the balances in the graduate education and all that. So first we should be knowing that what is the purpose, whether it's a scholarship or the research program which we are getting into it. Then we have to analyze the time contribution towards that, our time contribution, time limits, time logs. Especially going to the research education, that is more towards the graduate education leading to doctorates and the postdoctorates. Then the quality of that program is measured by that how much is to be tracked, like in length, intensity, and the scope of the specific field of knowledge, which has to be taken into account during the present era of knowledge economy, and especially the present era of knowledge and development. So next slide, please. Next, please. Again, coming to the balances are for that we have to look for the admission process, and that is subjectively and objectively for the students and for the institutions as well. We have to see the accomplishments and the future learning, that what could be the outcomes for that. And coming to supervision is a very important thing, which is the joint collaboration between the student, the supervisor, and the institution. So this is the basic thing, this is the turning point in making all those things come up. And what's missing in the doable things, and these are the deliverables, which are the synergistic things that we, or as a graduate student, we should be enhancing ourselves, including the skills for communication, ethics, management, technology, research design skills. So this is very much important for that. Next, please. A little bit about research and education ownership. So these are some of the points that I have taken out. Research ownership is basically by the graduate schools. Of course, there's like, you can say, the ownership by the graduate student himself or herself. The faculties of the graduate studies, internal research unit, external organizations, funding units, or the business and industry, especially the pharmaceuticals and all that. So this is how the research process works. Please, next slide. The major thing that comes for the graduate education is the financing, and it stems from self-financing to a loan. But here in between, these are the 6 points and the 6 processes through which the graduate students, they can look into the finances. This include teaching assistantships, graduate assistantships, part-time assistantships, and some of the work study programs which they help in from the jobs as well as the tuition benefits for the veterans and the military. So these are some of the resources which the graduate student should be ready before launching into the journey for the graduate programs. Next, please. Now, what is the highest echelon of highest knowledge? And that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala says in chapter 20, verse 99, that wasya kulla shayin ilma, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he's the one who embraces all things in this knowledge. So specifically for the higher education, what we see that it leads to knowledge production, social impact, quality and quantity of knowledge, and of course the curiosity development for the strategic inquiry. Next, please. This is the data from the Department of Education, United States, and from the National Center of Education Statistics. These are the master degrees which have been conferred from 2000 to 2017. We see that there's been an increasing trend, especially in the fields of business, education, and health professions. These are for that. Next slide, please. Next. These are the doctorate degrees which have been conferred during that same time period. And then we come to that the Quranic injunctions, which is the power of the pen and the spread of the knowledge to the books, for which our beloved Hazur has said that we should be rising in the world of the research through the advocacy of the Holy Quran, utilization for it for the human intellect, advancement of human knowledge, and benefit to the humanity. And of course, in return, we get rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Next, please. Wrapping up in all these things, we should come that we have come to the right graduate school, we have chosen the program, and the application process, resources, we should maintain a time log, a year ahead, should be researching into that, economic factor, and then the apprenticeship and all the fellowships for the time management and for getting onto board for these, which might create a different paradigm for aims and balances. So that's it. Next slide, please. So I would wrap up with my presentation with a 1-minute video. Please have a look on that. Please, next slide. So if you can play the video on that and click on the icon. Okay, it won't play. Yes, yes, it will play, yeah. So these are some of the points, 10 points that why should we pursue for the graduate or the PhD education.
Jazakallah.